All right, people, we are back for another heart to heart conversation. And this is going to be a good one. I mean, they're all good, but the fact that Kaitlyn is here with us, sharing how
Hello.
to reframe, review, and reflect on 2020 and shift into 2021, like, wow, this is a game changer. So thank you for being here, Kaitlyn.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Ooh, me too. I love the play on words, all the R's. Arr.
Dude, R is my jam. Recovery room is R's is my play on word thing. So let's do it. Alliteration, here we go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's wow. It's like 5 hours right there. Dang. So let's start with okay, since you brought up recovery room, let's first talk about that so people kind of know a little bit about you and what you stand for.
Yeah, so I am an ICU nurse turned mindfulness coach, yoga teacher, breathwork facilitator, all things mindfulness. And it's crazy to have so many acronyms after my last name, but honestly, I'm a human and I'm getting more in touch with that. And my goal is to re-empower people who feel like they're sitting in the seat of disempowerment and feeling just burned out, not because they're exhausted, I mean that's part of it, but burned out because they're sick of what is. They're tired of the status quo and they're tired of being spoon-fed what to think, feel, do, say, how to achieve, how to feel good. They no one's really tapped into what does it mean to do that for yourself. So recovery room is meant to do exactly that. Recover people, recover who they are, what they desire, what lights them back on fire, and put them back in the driver's seat.
Oh, so good. I just have to point out for those of you who are listening on the podcast, you won't be able to see this, but I just have to point out that, you're like in your living room and you've got the fire burning behind you and you're like, yes, recovery room. And
Yeah.
you're recovering people from who are burnt out and re-empowering them, reigniting them. And how
Yeah.
perfect. I think that I mean, that's needed in general, but talk about 2020 and being burnt out at the end of this year. So let's like
Yes. Yes.
reframe because in a lot of ways, yeah, you could look back at the past, whatever, 9, 10, 11 months. I lost track of how many months now, what even is time, but, and be like, what a shit show. Like this was the worst year ever. And you could also look back with a certain lens or perspective. And so I'd love for you to share, and then I'll kind of play off of that as well of how we are reframing it.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that you had the dramatic pause and used the word and. I saw you think about the word but and you chose and. And that is exactly what is so important in this conversation. And when you look back at 2020 and you say it was a shit show, of course it was a shit show. Of course it felt terrible at times. COVID sucks. I mean, I can't think of a lot of people who are excited to be completely ripped out of their comfort zone in just about every capacity of the, concept. But however, and also, we have we have so many opportunities to look at, like, okay, if the universe didn't plop all of these things right in your path to force you to move, what would you be doing? You'd be doing the same shit that you were doing in 2018 and 2019. And yeah, that might have been cool and that might have served, but how much would you have grown? And we are a society that lives for our comfort zone and our instant gratification. And when you look at what 2020 did, it kind of yanked that out from underneath, like hard and fast. And it happened in so many facets, like COVID happened. You're stuck inside your house. And while like a lot of introverts love that, you're confronted with a lot of shit that you used to distract yourself from on the daily. So you had, going out with friends, you had going to the gym, you had even in California, they shut down nature. Like there were cops outside nature trails. We couldn't even hike. It was crazy.
What?
So like, yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's like the healthiest outlet you could ask for in terms of, building up your immunity and staying tuned into your, spiritual, mental, emotional health. And all of that's taken away. And you have to get creative and you have to look at things and you have to say, all right, so what am I going to do with this? And if you sat there and you just continued to withdraw and continued to withdraw, I guarantee you 2020 got harder and harder and harder. But, and also, in addition to, we had, all these platforms pop up. We had all these new options pop up. We have the ability now to take a French yoga class if we want to, because everything's online. You can do it in the comfort of your own house. You can turn your video off and you can sit on your ass for an hour in your Zoom call if you want. You can go take a second at work because your work is at home. And yeah, you may be on a Zoom call, but ultimately, like, you have the capacity to start making choices and start waking up to like habits that you fall into, and to start waking up to things that you really like allowed to drive for you. So when you're talking about going to the gym and just like going through your normal routine, now you have to get creative. Now you're mindful about how you move your body. Where do you move your body? What does it feel like when you move your body in this space versus that space? What does it feel like when you do it by yourself and you're accountable and no one's sitting there pushing you? And what does it feel like when you get up in the middle of your workday and go check on your kid because they're sitting in the next room? Like, what does that feel like? And some people are like, it feels awful because I want to strangle my kid doing school in the next room, saying inappropriate things to the teacher, you know, like they're getting frustrated, but also like you have taken for granted all these nice distractions and things that were given to you and things that were made easy for you. And now you've had to really level yourself up. And it might feel annoying and it might feel shitty. But when you look back, like, you gained a lot from that. You got new patience. You got creative. Like, I grocery shop online now. I love it. I hate grocery shopping. I cannot stand going. And I got really mindful about what I needed. I got so mindful about what I consume in terms of food and groceries. When I have to pre-shop, I'm not going to the grocery store hungry, just grabbing all these new things that look good and I want to try. I'm grabbing what I need and things aren't going bad. I'm eating what's good for me. I'm eating mindfully. And I don't have all these other things sitting here saying, spend money on me and throw me in the garbage and use me to get through whatever feels bad. Like, I got super mindful about so many things. So you have to look back and say, yeah, 2020 was a shit show. And I got so much more time with my kids. I got so much more time to dive into myself. I got so much more time to just pay attention to what the hell is so easy for me outside of this, and learn, like, what does it mean? Where does my food come from? What does it mean to have to, like, you know, think about it now and pay attention to it? What does it mean to create space that feels good to me because I'm stuck in it all the time? What does it
Yeah.
mean to be mindful and be sitting with my thoughts and feelings? I couldn't think of a better time for Black Lives Matter to take off. We watched collectively some really hard shit, and it's unacceptable and it's disgusting. And no matter where you stand on these issues, you had to sit with some really hard human feelings. And you had to be confronted with some really shitty realities that are really well swept under the rug in our country and even in the whole world. And when you're stuck at home and when you don't have any distractions and when you don't have, you know, going to the bar with your friends to take your mind off of it, you have to process. You have to be present with your humans. And while social media can really distort and blow it up and, you know, have you feel in a type of way, or even like disproportionately, you know, stretching the truth and manipulating people's minds, we now have access to be in community like we never have before. And when you're stuck at home, and when you don't have all your easy outs, you have to deal with shit. And I personally witnessed an incredible shift in people that adamantly denied racism and adamantly denied that they were racist, and just seeing people be like, okay, this sucks, but we're here. Let's deal with this. And when you look at things like the election and politics, like, we're finally waking up. We're realizing that on both sides, we're being spoon fed a lot of bullshit. On both sides, we are being purposely divided. On both sides, on all sides, it's not just two. On all sides, it's our job to wake the F up. It's our job to stop sitting there with our hands out, waiting to be told what to think about the people who vote red or blue or independent or whatever. We have to stop asking culture to tell us these things and start listening to what we already freaking know. And that is why 2020 has been an incredible gift. And that is why 2020 is the perfect time to get your coach, watch these videos, you know, listen to these podcasts, because it's time to wake up. And this is how you do it. You sit in community with other people who know what it means to wake up, who are already waking up. And you surround yourself with the people who choose to look at all the facts and make their own choice and sit with what feels right for them. You have to really like seek it out, because what you're being spoon fed is the opposite of that. And it's easy. You just click into your social media and there it is. And so this, like when we say 2020 review, reflect, and reframe, look at it and say, yeah, it's a shit show. Also, put yourself back in the freaking driver's seat, buckle up, put your hands on the wheel, and let's go.
Let's go. Oh my gosh. I'm just over here like smiling and grinning and nodding my head because I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Honestly,
Yes.
last night I wrote in my journal, I was like, okay, 3 words to recap 2020. And yeah, I mean, initially in came flooding thoughts of like, oh, it was horrible, whatever. But no, it was growing pains. It was
Mm-hmm.
expansion. I mean, yeah, I look back and like you said, people, it's like you didn't know who to trust. And so all of a sudden you got to, I believe it was a privilege that you got to turn inwards
Yeah.
and take radical responsibility and be your own leader. Because no, I mean, it's great democracy, you have a president, whatever, but who says that that's going to change everything and make it all better in a flick of a finger, or whatever that phrase is, right? Like,
Yes.
we ultimately are the ones that we get to change and heal our own inner world, and that's where it starts.
Right. Right. You can sit here and pick apart everything that's going on outside of you. I cannot stand watching the decisions being made by our leaders, um, elect. We chose them. I mean, kind of, allegedly. But, like I accept that I am a pawn in a game that's not my game. And because I don't like this game and I think this game is bullshit, I'm creating my own. I'm doing it differently. I don't have to sit here and do what they're telling me because they're telling me, oh, you might lose your job if you don't fall in line, or you're going to lose this freedom if you don't fall in line. Fine. I'm finally standing for something that feels right. And it's a radical change inside when I'm not doing what I'm told to do because I'm being told to do it, or because I'm being threatened with what's going to be taken away from me if I don't do it. And I'm not out here hurting anybody. I'm not out here, ruffling feathers. I'm not here to take anything away from the billionaires and the gajillionaires. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to empower people to know that we can all be on the same level. We can all be on the same playing field. The resources are there. We're just being told that it's not.
Mm.
We're being told so much BS because somewhere someone else's story is being told out of fear. You can't do this. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, you're afraid. You're living a repressed life. You're living a jealous life. You're living a life that is not authentic. And that's where those stories come from, inauthenticity. And like what you do when you coach, when you host Heart to Heart, you and I have the amazing privilege and honor, and we're so lucky that we got to start down this path before 2020 happened. we
Yeah.
got to we got to self-actualize and start doing our inner work before this happened. And because you and I are in this position, we are now in a position to share with other people how to do it, because now other people are waking up and going, what the fuck, now what do we do with this? What This feels weird. Like I'm waking up, I'm curious, I'm having these feelings in my body, I'm having these sleep pattern changes, I'm changing the way like everything's changing. What do I do with it? And we have the power to step up and say, here, come with me, let me help you. It's not do this, it's not do that, it's let me help you draw it out for yourself because someone helped me do that already.
Yes, that's what it's all about, because I very much see the years leading up to 2020. That was our training grounds. That was practicing, setting us up to be the light workers and to guide the way for other people, because it is so hard to go on this path alone and it's not easy.
Yes.
And so to have that tribe, those people around you to say, hey, like, it's totally normal to feel that resentment and anger because your whole life is a lie, and like
Right.
like that is okay,
Right.
and that's all part of the process. There's these stages, I believe, that you go through and feelings that you experience. And yeah, like how beautiful for us to reach down and lift others up. And this isn't like a we're better than you. No, not at all. It's that we've experienced this joy, this aliveness, this feeling, and we want you to share in that. We want you to
Yes.
experience it as well.
Right. And that, I think, is the huge difference in, 2020 is waking people up to what's going on in leadership. 2020 is waking people up to um, what leadership is supposed to look like. What does it mean? It's not about somebody telling you what you can and can't do, and somebody telling you how you're supposed to experience a particular situation in your life. It's not about that. It's about being supportive of whatever it is your experience is in a shared circumstance, or a shared struggle. You might find joy in it while I'm sitting in the corner just like angry or crying and shaking and screaming and mad. And that's okay. And we're in a position to show people, like, it's not about what you've been told from, what you see as a leader right now. It's about you. It's about going inward. And once you go inward and you figure out what it means to be selfish in the best of ways, what you put out to other people and the greater world is so much bigger. The space that you can hold, the compassion that you feel for other people. I never thought I would sit in a place where I held so much like understanding and compassion and love for people that are straight up 180, like complete opposite viewpoints as me. And I do, and I get it, and I love it. And I'm figuring out there's room for that viewpoint even within my viewpoint. And there's a way for us to all get what we're looking for together. And it's not about you or me, this or that, feel happy or sad. It's about, and 2020 is a shit show, and 2020 has been one of the best years of my entire life. I'm learning so much. It's called growing pains because it's uncomfortable. It's not what you would label as a good feeling a lot of the time, and that's okay. The more you sit in the shit, the more you sit in the things that make you cry and make you scream and hit the floor and punch a pillow, like the more you do that, the more the better things feel huge. The joy that you feel is bigger and bigger and bigger, and you cannot do that if you don't move from where you've been sitting for maybe your whole life.
Yes, it's it's the reframe and it's the contrast, right? Of that darkness,
Yes.
the pain, the suffering that you've experienced, which I believe, depending on how you handle it, that can totally crack your heart open. And I think of when I went through a breakup and that heartbreak that I felt,
Mm,
I then had so much more compassion for myself, first of all, because it was like, I'm
yeah,
stronger than I know. I made it through that alive. And then,
right.
for others too, where it's like, oh my gosh, you experienced heartbreak as well. And maybe you went through COVID and experienced that or whatever it might be. I've talked to so many friends recently where it's like, yeah, I've had plenty of sob fests on the kitchen floor, or, I
Yes,
have wanted to punch a pillow or just like throw something because I have been that angry.
right. And a million bajillion, everyone on the planet has felt heartbreak. Whether they choose to look at it and sit in it is, their choice, but we all know what it feels like. And the more you sit in protection and defense mode and your exit strategies, drinking and going out and distracting yourself, the more you're missing the fact that it feels good to give yourself room to cry on the floor. It feels good to give yourself room and say, it's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling right now. It's okay to be mad AF. It's okay to be ready to scream and punch. Finding the correct outlet, finding someone who supports you feeling your feelings is everything. And when you like take a look around, like I keep telling, the people that follow me, it's not just me out here saying this shit. It's not just me out here sounding like some crazy woo woo. Like, there are thousands and millions of people who are teaching me and leading me. And now it's my job to continue passing that. And when you can hop on the other side of, defense mechanisms, easy outs, and like distracting and trying not to deal with things, like you realize there's a whole community of people who are ready to catch you, whether you're broke financially, whether you don't want to get up tomorrow, you don't want to see another day, you don't want to take another breath. Like, there's a bajillion people here ready to catch you in that moment and tell you, okay, feel it. I'm here with you. Like, I got you. And I can't fix it for you. I don't need to fix it for you. You're not broken. It's a thing you need to move through, and I'm here to do it with you. And that's exactly what 2020 has really like opened a lot of people's eyes to, is we're getting very creative and we're getting desperate because we're sitting here so confronted and we're like, what do I do with these feelings? And you're forced to seek help and answers and guidance. And when you do, you're like, oh shit, I'm not the only one that feels this way. Oh, okay, so other people are mad and other people are frustrated and other people also want to murder their own children. Like, okay, it's not just me. Yeah, it's so hard. And then you start talking about it. You start letting it out of yourself and you start being your authentic self. And you're not saying, oh, my kids are doing great. Everyone's fine. I'm just fine. I'm coping. I'm doing fine. The second you let it flow, the real stuff starts coming out of your mouth. You start getting people saying, try this. This worked for me. Oh, I feel the same way too. Oh, I'm here with you in it. Oh, what do you start finding? Oh God, there's people who know how to help me in this.
Mm.
Maybe I didn't think I wanted or needed help, but there's plenty of people out here being creative with you. Tap into that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that is, oh, that's the power of sharing and vulnerability, right? Because I think there's so many, I mean, the system, there's so many things right now that are kind of tricking our minds to think that, oh, like this person I'm talking to, Kaitlyn, she's my enemy, like, oh, I need
Yeah.
to keep 6 feet away from her. And okay, I get it, taking precautions, but I think that there are certain mechanisms in place, which it's like dividing us.
Hmm.
And like it's almost revolutionary for us to take this time and to, yes, first of all, share what's on our heart
Hmm.
and not do maybe what everyone else does on social media where it's like, yeah, life is fine, it's all perfect. Where does that allow for people to truly see you as human and to allow people to
Right.
contribute to you and just open
Right.
yourself up to be loved? If you've got it all
Right.
perfect, what the heck?
I'm learning so quickly. Like the more I sit here and use my mouth when it feels like crap, I've got a boatload of people like right there ready for me. And I'm like, oh. And I still am like reprogramming my brain to be like, ask for help, use your words. This throat chakra is like trying to like bust open and you keep like clamping it down. Like express yourself. People out here want to be in that with you. People out here want to support you and hold you in that. And people want to be supported and be held in that. And we have this really weird established society of show, and it's just hilariously stupid. Like it's funny to watch people from my perspective now like fake it. Fake it, fake it, fake it, fake it, like all rainbows and butterflies. Like even people who meditate and sit here and preach, like, oh, it's all great. It's not all perfect. It's not all great. I sit here and try to meditate, and half my days I'm just pissed off in my meditation and my mind won't stop. That's real life. And
Yeah.
that's exactly like COVID has been one of the greatest experiments for us to decide what's right for us. Laws are coming up like there's a mask mandate. You can't eat inside. Okay, now we have tents outside that are completely enclosed as if you were eating inside, but it's still legal because you're outside and it's not a building. But you're still like contained in whatever would be swapped in the air in this tent, but there's no way to punish it. We don't know what we're doing. We're making it up as we go, and this is the perfect time to get good with what feels right to you, because we don't know. We don't have a system to punish people really and truly, because this is unknown to everybody. We are all sitting here exploring, experimenting, leaning into what we're feeling, leaning into what we're scared of, we're leaning away from it. And there's never been a better time to sit here and say, what feels right to me? You
Mm.
can wear a mask. You cannot wear a mask. I do both depending on the situation and the environment. I don't have a firm stance one way or the other. I don't have a firm stance, I'm definitely going to get the vaccine or I'm never going to get the vaccine. I'm just kind of waiting it out, seeing how I feel. I don't have a definite stance on this yet. It's not about picking a side and drawing a line in the sand. It's about saying, I kind of feel this way. What information do you have to pour into my decision making?
Mm.
Or what decisions are you making and why? So that not only are you informing yourself differently and informing yourself more holistically, but now you have space to like hold a different viewpoint and honor that somebody else may not agree with you and get why they don't agree with you. They didn't arrive at that viewpoint specifically in their life to piss you off and be like an antagonist in your story. They have a story too. They're just as involved in their own story as you are in yours. And there's reasons and experiences and traumas that got them exactly where they landed, just like you. And they're sitting
Yes.
here seeing you just as strangely as you're seeing them. And when you sit here and you talk about it, ultimately you can reach this place where you both understand this person feels fear, or this person feels anxiety, or this person feels joy. And that's something you can freaking resonate with. They got there differently, but you feel it too. It happens for you too. Your story just looks different. And that's the best part. Your story. That's the best part of the sharing and the hearing something different. Like, oh, that's really interesting. That's really cool. Totally different from mine. It's not bad. People aren't born to ruin your life. People are born to live their own. That's it.
Drop the mic. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So good. And I hear in that too, in that share, that it's about seeking to understand and cultivating compassion and coming from a place of curiosity. It's not about, oh, cancel culture. Oh my gosh, they disagree with me. We can't be friends.
Right, right. We have such a dismissive, like, it's so crazy. We have this seat of the knower. And it's the biggest disservice that we do to ourselves. We come to every discussion, every debate, every, opposing viewpoint as the knower instead of the learner. And you have effed yourself royally the second you step into those shoes. The second you sit down in that chair as the knower, you're done. Like there's nowhere to go from there. You don't grow.
Yeah, it's not about right or wrong. And I know you said this earlier. Yeah, it's not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's about discovering for yourself, like, how does this make you feel? And yes, critically thinking, but also like, I think part of critically thinking is, I think sometimes we get critically thinking and being right almost mixed up.
Yes.
They're not one and the
Yes.
same.
Right. And being right is almost non-existent, honestly, because what's right for you is not right for most other people, honestly. But it's still the best thing for you. And only you know. No
Yeah.
one can tell you that. It's not my boss's job to tell me that the vaccine is the right choice for me. It's not my boss's job to tell me that I have to wear a mask if I teach private yoga in my house. It's I don't have somebody telling me. I feel these out situation by situation. And that's critically thinking. And it might be right for me, but the person next to me might want to wear the mask. And that's fine. They made that choice themselves. They thought their way to that decision. It might be a fear-based decision. It might be a decision based in anxiety and stress, but that's not for me to walk for them. That's not for me to
Mm.
carry.
Yeah, honoring where people are at. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay, I want to circle it back to the whole review portion. Are there certain questions that you ask yourself when looking at the past year to kind of center and guide, yeah, just the review?
Yeah. So when I'm doing my review, I just go through and I look at the who, what, when, where, why of every month. And I record all of it. I write it down. I talk about who I was around, the vibe. I talk about like monumental things. And if it triggers like a feeling that I remember having, I write it. And I start kind of putting myself back in the positions that I was in. And I feel like, where is it at in my body? Where do I feel this memory in my body? Maybe my stomach rolls and it was like a hard experience, or maybe I feel really excited and my chest starts to lift and I get, really elevated, or feel warm and loving because it's a person that I just adore. And I just notice like the sensations that come up with my memories. And as I go through, I look and I say, what were my absolute highlights of the year? What was the greatest things this year? How am I going to take that to 2021 or my next month or my next week and carry it, and not just carry it, but grow it, make it bigger? How do I make that joy feel bigger? How do I make that connection deeper with that person or with that place or myself? And then I also look at what were my biggest lessons. So that's in my challenges. When I sit here, I don't sit here and write, this is the fucking dumbest thing I ever did, you gross barf. I write, this was super hard for me, but here's what I learned. And here's who I'm not taking next year with me. Here's who I'm not taking into tomorrow with me. Here's what I'm leaving. And I thank it. That is the biggest part of looking at your lessons and looking at your challenges, is thanking it. It's so weird, but gratitude goes into all the things you do when it comes to sitting inside yourself. You have to say thank you because you got something out of that ultimately. When it felt hard, when it didn't feel good, when it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies, that's when you grew. You don't grow in the rainbows and butterflies. That's your time to be in bliss and enjoy it. You grow when it's dark and it's hard and it hurts your body and it hurts your soul and it makes you cry and it makes you stretch. So you thank it. You thank the challenges and the lessons. And another thing that I do when I'm doing reflection for the year, every year at the beginning of the year, I pick a word for the year.
Mm.
So like for me, 2020 was embody, stepping into embodiment of what I say I am, what I desire to feel. And I'm stepping in. And it's slow, but it's happening. My word last year was calm, and I really like understood what calm meant for me by the end of the year, and it's exactly what I needed to step into 2020. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, I go back and I wrap up my last year in a word. It's a new word, same year. So I go back and I say, okay, 2020, what was this? And for me, it was definitely growth. Lots and lots and lots of growth. And I take that. Some people may say it was shitty. Some people say 2020 was hell. And I tell them to take that word and use it to create your word for 2021. So if 2020 looked inward and looked depressing and lonely for you, maybe 2021 is community or support
Mm.
Or if 2020 was like the beginning steps for you, maybe 2020, like 2021 for me is about like momentum and velocity. I haven't found my word yet, but I'm going to get there. And it's about, sending that growth that I did and like rocket shipping it wherever it's meant to go. So that's kind of like the biggest components of my reflection is, the who, what, when, where of each month, and taking in where I was, who I was around. And then I'm leaving what I don't want to take and thanking it, and choosing what I am going to take, my biggest successes, and what am I going to do to grow them? And from that, I set myself up for like a few SMART goals. So really my biggest takeaway when I'm reflecting, when I'm setting up for, I guess you could call them SMART goals, it's the beginning stages of SMART goals, I guess. I take my challenges and my successes for the year and I say, what am I committing to for 2021? 3 things. And it's very hard to say something specific like I'm going to have X amount of coaching clients by this day. That's nice. But as 2020 taught us, that's a hard thing to just bank on. So my things that I call in for the next year are more about like personal growth. Like what am I going to definitely own? What am I going to sit in like responsibility wise? Am I going to, grow myself by, learning what it means to sit with the feelings in my body? Am I going to not take this route every time I feel pissed off or stressed out? Like what's my normal exit strategy? Like what am I going to do differently? And I look at those things that I'm calling in for 2021. I pick 3 big ones that I'm going to call in for 2021. And I list the obstacles that will pop up for all of those things. The worst case scenario, best case scenario, what are my obstacles that are going to happen? And what am I going to do to take action to move right through those? What am I going to do when those obstacles happen? Because that's how I stay accountable. I knew these things were going to happen and I already have a plan to keep on going. I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to pout. I might take a minute and cry. I might take a minute and punch the pillow. I might take a minute and take a nap or have a Netflix and chill day. But ultimately, what am I going to do to continue my momentum? These things I said I'm going to nail, I'm going to do it. And you write that down, you have that on paper, you have that to look at, and you have that to come back to. That's accountability. That's an alignment check whenever you want.
Boom. Well, and that's so powerful too, to kind of think about, oh, what's going to stop me and be prepared. And as we saw with 2020, you can think about that, but there's always going to be unpredictables with life,
Yes.
and so I think it's just the overall concept of knowing that there are going to be things that pop up that are going to hold you back and going to stop you. Fear, worry of what other people will think, you name it. There's so many things that could get in the way. And it's coming back to, well, how committed are you then really? What's your why? What's driving you forward?
Right. You said you want this thing. What does that look like? What does it take to commit to that? How accountable are you to your own freaking self? And for me, my responsibility checks frequently have like, well, if this happens, I'm going to reach out to my coach. I'm going to be like, dude, grab me by the collar and like pull me back. Like, let's go. I veered way down the wrong path here. Pull me back to the one that I said I was on, and let's go. Let's do this thing. And accountability can definitely come in the form of like support of the people who love you. So not the ones who are going to say like, what are you doing? You're ruining this. You're doing it wrong. It's the people who say like, I see you. Let me help you. Like, let's dig this back out. Like, let's figure out where you're going. Let's shine a light on you and not tell you what to do.
Yeah, because I think there's those people who clearly love you, but they'll kind of give in to your excuses, right? Oh, you don't have to go live if it scares you. Don't worry. You don't have to step outside of your comfort zone. Just, you're doing great already, Kaitlyn.
Right. Exactly. That's an obstacle. Enablers are obstacles. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with those obstacles? And the obstacles because you've already ran into them in your life. You can predict the things that consistently slow you down. And the more you take time to sit back and go, oh, I consistently avoid this thing, or I consistently don't get to this task I always say I'm going to do. Why? What is it? Wrap your head around it, wrap your body around it, tap in, do what you got to do, move your energy. Reach out to the people that know how to help you work through it. There is a resource for every freaking thing that you need out there. Everything. Whether it's a Google search or a person or a place or an activity, there's something out there that gets you through those obstacles. Find them, do them.
Yes. Well, and what you're speaking to, it's like driving it home. It's like, this is why reflection is so key. Because yeah, if you don't do that reflection, how are you going to pivot? How are you going to navigate the year ahead without just going through the motions and doing the same old and getting to the end of 2021 like, oh, well, that was a shit year or whatever. Hopefully not as shit as
Right.
2020, but yeah, it's just that review and reflection. I think that allows for so much more growth. Yeah, it might not be fun, and yeah, it might take time, and it might bring up some harsh feelings.
Yes. That's also the time to process the shit you didn't give room to when it was happening. I
Ooh.
tell people, like, when you're going through your reflection, if you hit that breakup or you hit that job loss or that death that you didn't deal with, this is the time to like revisit and say what needs more space, what needs more love, what needs more slow, what needs more healing.
That's so good. Yeah, just as there's things to let go of and release, it's also, yeah, I love that of allowing more space and more time because heck, we both know, I mean, healing and growing, it's not linear. It's like a roller
No,
coaster.
it's a circle. You're always going to keep coming back to your healing. You just get deeper every time you go around the circle. You learn the
Oh,
deeper lesson.
yeah. Oh, it's like a
It's a
spiral.
spiral. Yes.
Ah!
Yes.
What a beautiful visual. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And like you said, there's resources out there. There's coaches. There's people who literally have devoted their lives, you and I included, to doing this
Yes.
work and to helping others do this work.
Yes. Yes. And we love it. It's not like this isn't a job that you pick up because you like want to make a paycheck and make easy cash. This is a job where you pour your heart and soul in because that's what sets you on fire. That's what gets you off. Like connection with other people, like teaching other people how to be their best self. How much better does it get? People like you and me love that. And it's not about like I charge this much money because I want to live in the fanciest house. It's a deep energy commitment to hold space for people and to help people heal and grow. And the energy exchange has to match. It has to, both of you have to be full, but ultimately everybody is like coming up. Everybody is coming up when you sit in this position of holding space for people and teaching people what you know and letting them choose what works for them and letting them choose what they get to leave behind.
Mm.
Everything I say is not going to click with everybody. And maybe one thing that I say makes someone go, oh my God. And the rest of it, they're like, oh my God, please be quiet. Please stop talking. That one thing, though, that one nugget, it's worth it. Whatever
Yeah.
they took, if they never want to work with me, if I did something that flipped a switch on for them, I love it. I don't care that we didn't have, a giant coaching package together. I just want people to wake up. Of course, I want to have the things I want, the freedom that I want, the experiences that I want in life. But ultimately, when the collective comes up, everyone benefits. Even the
Mm.
people at the top who are terrified of losing everything. They don't understand that by sharing and coming, when we bring the people who have nothing and the people who have everything more to the middle where most of us reside, we do get to feel this up and down, and we get to feel and adapt and adjust. And we don't sit here at the top afraid of losing everything. And we don't sit here at the bottom afraid of where's the next meal or sleeping place or friend going to come from. When we all come here and we start to share and balance out, everything comes up. The equilibrium, the homeostasis for the collective rises and rises and rises. And the people at the top who are afraid of losing it don't see that. They don't get it. They're stuck in their fear. They're stuck in scarcity. Just like the people down here who live in scarcity. They
Mm.
have more in common than anyone in the middle. That scarcity and that fear is what drives them. So the people that are, trying to have all these experiences at the top with all the money, they don't have any experiences because they are not genuinely connecting and giving and circulating that energy with people down here to make the experience worth it. They have this boat, they have this vacation, they have this island and wherever that's tropical, and they're not enjoying it because they are closed the F off energetically and emotionally because they're afraid of losing it,
Mm.
which ultimately has made everything that they have like just worthless. And the people down here will never get to experience that because they can't get their hands on it because the system is set up to keep them that way. And the more we start to level out and equalize, when we start to meet here, everything starts coming up. So these people that thought that they were losing are still coming up. These people that thought that they would never have it are still coming up. Everybody is rising together. And that is the whole point of the reframe, of the reflect, of taking a freaking look around and opening your eyes. You don't have to sit here and be afraid of where your next meal is coming from. You don't have to sit here and be afraid that if you start to give a little, you're going to lose it all. It's not
Mm.
a pie. The resources are there. We just don't use them appropriately.
Oh my gosh. That was just straight fire. Thank you for all of that. Yeah, like it's like there were times that I wanted to chime in, but I was like, no, she needs to keep going. Like I was over here cheering you on. Wow. No, but it goes back to, you said that in the beginning of, you're here to level the playing field. Like that seems like a huge pillar and huge part of what drives you. And so as we wrap up here, I mean, first of all, I'd like to give space for if there's anything maybe that we didn't touch on that you would like to cover. Now's your time.
I mean, it's just more of the same. Everyone has the potential to step into their power, and it's all about where you're sitting in your perspective. If you shift your perspective to see what you've been traumatized by and what has broken you, what you assume is breaking you, to a different perspective, you broaden your bandwidth and you see where you can go with that, what you can do with that. And this comes to the hardest of the hard traumas: death, assaults, like rape, all of these things. It sounds like a terrible package, and people are very, very committed to the punishment. People are very committed to staying in victim mode. People are very committed to kind of I guess the dialogue that we've had around it for so long, and it's so incredibly limiting. And when you start to take responsibility for what you can do with it and how you can heal yourself, it's not about what that person did to you. It's not about what they're doing on their journey, on their path. They're clearly not well if they're out there doing, you know, these harmful things to other people. But what you can do with your trauma and your bags that you carry and the stories that you're spinning currently, like, you have unlimited potential with that. You have unlimited potential to have the money that you want, to have the people that you want, to have the love and support that you want, to take the trips that you want to take, to have the experiences in life that you want to experience, to be mindful, to self-actualize. It's such a thing of the privileged community right now, and that's totally not necessary. It's accessible. Like, I know I have, you know, payment plans, I have discounts, I have scholarships, because healing shouldn't be for the people who have the money to do it. Healing is for everybody. Healing and self-actualizing is only effective in the collective when everyone has access to it.
Mm.
So get your feet wet, do the free things, start somewhere. And all those people out there ready to help you understand and see it are going to make it accessible to you. They're going to teach you about new ways to bring in the means to achieve what you want to achieve. It's totally doable. It's totally possible. 2020 is just the bulldozer that's leveling the playing field for us. 2020, the shit show of 2020 is the eye opener telling you, wake up and take your fucking control back. Take your power back. Stop giving it away. It's not theirs to have, it's yours to have. So claim it, get it, light yourself back on fire. Love 2020, love yourself. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, reclaim your power, baby. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you shared some epic truth bombs here, and people are definitely going to want to find you and hear more about your work and what you do. So, how can folks connect?
Okay, so I have a Facebook group called Soul Rounds. It is a community for my business recovery room. My name is Kaitlyn Rain, Kaitlyn Raine. You can find me personally on Facebook and message me, drop me a comment, whatever. And then I have my business page, RN Recovery Room. It's the same handle for Instagram at RN Recovery Room. And my website, you can also hop on. You can book a free recovery call with me, and that is all about tapping into your breath and seeing what you're capable of in 1 hour with me, to get a taste of what it means to step back into your power, to make a change in your life, and to wake up. And we do that through Breathwork. You can get on my website. It's rnrecoveryroom.com. You can see what services we offer. I know the price point looks intimidating to a lot of people, and I encourage everyone to reach out to me personally if you see that price and go, it's absolutely not possible. Hit me up. Let's make it possible. Let's do some things. I know, Marissa, you're out here too. You're coaching, you've got your podcast, you have your heart space. So drop your plugs, because I love chiming into what you drop too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I'll make sure to put all of your links and everything in the show notes. I'll get that from you. And Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like I love that you're also sharing that, yeah, don't let money get in the way because there it is possible. And so once you hold that vision for yourself and you see what's possible, oh my gosh, you could move mountains. And
Right.
I mean, I've experienced breathwork with Kaitlyn. It is pure magic. So I'd say
Yay!
like hop on that and like reach out to her.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Everyone needs the good stuff. So connect to your people. Do whatever feels good. Honestly, it sounds so cliche, but do what feels good for you.
Yes. And
2021 is the year to feel good.
oh my gosh, yes. 2021 is all about reclaiming our power and our
Yes.
pleasure.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in and reframing, reviewing, and reflecting with us. And we'd love to hear what are your intentions for 2021? Share your intentions, your words, tag us in your stories. Like this lights us up hearing from you. So
Yeah.
much love and until next time.
Yay. Thank you.